The cantina smelled like burnt metal and cheap alcohol. Minji sat alone at a corner table, her fingers wrapped around a glass of water. She had just finished a 3-day cargo run, and her body ached from loading heavy containers. The station's artificial gravity was lighter than Earth's, but the work was still hard. Around her, aliens of every shape and size filled the cantina. Some had scales, others had fur. A few glowed with strange colors. Minji had seen them all before. After 2 years of hauling freight across the galaxy, nothing surprised her anymore. She just wanted to finish her drink and return to her ship. The door opened with a hiss. 6 large figures walked in. They were Dracovians, reptilian creatures that stood nearly 8 feet tall. Their scales were dark green and covered with old scars. They wore heavy armor and carried weapons on their belts. Everyone in the cantina noticed them. The room got quieter. Minji looked down at her glass. She knew their type. Mercenaries, troublemakers, the kind of people who looked for fights to prove how tough they were. She had learned to avoid eye contact with people like this. Most of the time, they left her alone. Not today. The largest Dracovian spotted her. He had a long scar across his face and eyes that looked dead and cold. He said something to his friends in their language. They all laughed. Then he started walking toward her table. Minji kept her eyes on her water. Maybe he would walk past. Maybe he was going somewhere else. He stopped right in front of her table. His shadow covered her completely. "Look at this," he said in rough galactic common. "A human. All alone." His voice was deep and harsh like rocks grinding together. The other 5 Dracovians gathered around the table. They blocked her in on all sides. Minji could smell them now. A mix of sweat and something like old leather. "We don't see many humans out here," another one said. "They usually stay home." Too scared of the big universe, Minji said nothing. She took a slow sip of her water. The scarred leader leaned down, putting his clawed hands on her table. "My name is Vexer. You hear me, little human? I'm talking to you." "I hear you," Minji said quietly. She still didn't look up. "She speaks!" Vexer laughed. "Tell me, little thing, why are you here? This is not a safe place for weak creatures." "Just having a drink," Minji said. "I'll be leaving soon." "So small," another Dracovian said. He reached out and grabbed Minji's arm. His claws were sharp against her skin, like a child. "How do you survive out here?" Minji looked up at him. Her face was calm, but her eyes were hard. "Let go of my arm." The Dracovian laughed. He squeezed harder. "Or what? What will you do?" Minji spoke slowly and clearly. "Don't touch me again." The cantina got very quiet. Everyone was watching now. Vexer stood up straight and laughed so loud that it echoed off the walls. The other Dracovians joined in. One of them was laughing so hard he had to hold his stomach. "Did you hear that?" Vexer shouted to the whole cantina. "The human gave us a warning." He translated her words into several different alien languages, making fun of her each time. More aliens in the cantina started laughing too. The Dracovian finally let go of her arm. Minji rubbed the red marks his claws had left. She reached into her pocket, pulled out a few credit chips, and placed them on the table. Then she stood up. She was small compared to the Dracovians. The top of her head barely reached the middle of Vexer's chest. She had short black hair and wore simple work clothes, a gray jacket and dark pants. Nothing about her looked dangerous. Nothing about her looked special. "Excuse me," she said. "I need to leave." She started walking toward the door. The Dracovians watched her go, still laughing. She made it 3 steps before one of them moved to block her path. He was younger than the others with bright green scales and too much confidence. "Where are you going?" he asked. "We were just starting to have fun." "Move," Minji said. He reached out and shoved her backward. She stumbled but didn't fall. Another Dracovian behind her grabbed her shoulder with one massive hand. Minji stopped moving. She took a deep breath. When she spoke again, her voice was quieter than before, almost a whisper. "Don't touch me again." More laughter. The Dracovian holding her shoulder squeezed. "Or what, little human, or what?" In the corner of the cantina, an old alien merchant grabbed his companion's arm. "We should leave," he said urgently. "Why?" his companion asked. "This is getting interesting." "You don't understand," the merchant said. He had traded with humans before. He had heard stories. That human just gave them 2 warnings. Humans always warn you first. "So? She's tiny. What can she do?" The merchant was already standing up. "That's what the Colbury pirates thought. They attacked a human colony ship 3 years ago. The humans warned them twice to leave. On the third warning, the humans stopped talking. He headed for the door. There were 200 pirates. None of them survived. His companion laughed. That's just a story. Maybe, the merchant said, but I'm not staying to find out. Back at the table, the young Dracovian reached for Minji again. His clawed hand went for her face this time, like he wanted to grab her chin and make her look up at him. Something changed in Minji's eyes. The fear disappeared. The nervousness disappeared. What replaced it was cold and hard and very, very focused. Her hand moved faster than anyone expected. She caught the Dracovian's wrist in midair. For a moment, everyone froze. How could something so small stop that massive clawed hand? Then Minji twisted. There was a wet cracking sound. The Dracovian screamed. His wrist bent at an angle that wrists should never bend. Minji hadn't just blocked him. She had broken his arm. She moved before anyone could react. Her elbow drove into the throat of the Dracovian standing behind her, the one who had grabbed her shoulder. He made a choking sound and fell backward, his hands clutching his crushed windpipe. The laughter stopped. The entire cantina went silent except for the sound of the injured Dracovian hitting the floor. Vexer stared at his fallen companion. The Dracovian wasn't moving, wasn't breathing. You killed him, Vexer said slowly. He sounded surprised. Minji stood in the middle of the circle of Dracovians. Her breathing was steady. Her hands were loose at her sides. She looked at each of them, one by one. I warned you, she said simply. Vexer's surprise turned to rage. His eyes went wide and his mouth opened, showing rows of sharp teeth. Kill her, he roared. The 4 remaining Dracovians pulled their weapons. Plasma blades lit up with blue light. Energy pistols powered on with a high-pitched whine. Minji didn't run. She didn't look scared. She rolled her shoulders once like she was loosening tight muscles after a long day of work. Then she smiled. It was not a nice smile. It was the smile of someone who had been holding back for a very long time and was finally allowed to let go. The Dracovians attacked together. 20 minutes, the old merchant would later tell the station authorities. The fight lasted exactly 20 minutes. He knew because he watched the whole thing from outside the cantina, his companion recording on a handheld device. 20 minutes and then silence. The first Dracovian swung his plasma blade at Minji's head. She ducked under it so smoothly that it looked like a dance movie. As she came up, her fist drove into his armpit. It seemed like a strange place to hit someone, but the Dracovian screamed and dropped his weapon. His entire arm went limp. Minji caught the plasma blade before it hit the ground. In the same motion, she spun and slashed across the back of another Dracovian's knees. The blade cut through his armor like it was paper. He fell forward, crashing into a table. 2 down in 5 seconds. Vexer fired his energy pistol. The shot went wide, hitting the wall behind where Minji had been standing. She was already moving, too fast for him to track properly. She ran up the side of a table, jumped, and kicked him in the face. Her boot heel hit him right in the eye. Vexer roared in pain and stumbled backward. The young Dracovian with the broken wrist tried to grab her with his good hand. Minji was smaller than him, yes, but she used that to her advantage. She dropped low and swept his legs out from under him. As he fell, she drove the plasma blade through his throat. The light went out of his eyes instantly. 3 down. The Dracovian with the cut knees was trying to stand up. Minji kicked him in the head. Once, twice. He stopped moving. 4 down. The 5th Dracovian was smarter than his friends. He didn't charge at her. Instead, he circled around, trying to get behind her. He pulled out a long knife, the kind made for stabbing, not slashing. Minji watched him in the reflection of a metal wall panel. When he lunged, she sidestepped and grabbed his knife arm. She used his own momentum to slam him face first into the bar counter. His skull made a sound like a melon cracking. He slid to the floor and didn't get up. 5 down. Only Vexer remained. He was bleeding from his eye, breathing hard and looking at Minji like he was seeing her for the first time. Around them, the cantina was destroyed. Tables were broken. Walls were scorched from plasma fire. The other patrons had fled except for a few brave or foolish ones watching from the doorway. What are you? Vexer asked. Blood ran down his face from his ruined eye. Minji didn't answer. She was breathing harder now. Fighting was exhausting even for her. Sweat ran down her face. Her knuckles were bleeding. But her eyes were still cold and focused. Vexer charged at her with a roar. He was massive and strong, and when he moved, the floor shook. He swung both fists at her like hammers. Minji knew she couldn't match his strength. She didn't try. Instead, she watched his movements. Dracovians were strong, but their armor had weak points. Every species did. You just had to know where to look. She ducked under his first punch and drove her fingers into the soft spot under his arm, where the armor plates connected. Vexor screamed. She kicked the back of his knee, the same spot she had cut on his companion. His leg buckled. As he fell, Minji jumped onto his back. She wrapped her arm around his thick neck and squeezed, not trying to choke him. Dracovians had different breathing systems than humans. Instead, she found the major blood vessel that ran up the side of his neck and pressed down hard. Vexor tried to throw her off. He slammed his back against the wall, crushing Minji between his bulk and the hard surface. She felt ribs crack. The pain was incredible, but she held on. She kept pressing on that blood vessel. Vexor slammed her into the wall again, and again. Minji's vision started to blur. Blood filled her mouth. But she didn't let go. She had learned a long time ago that humans could ignore pain longer than most species. It was one of their advantages. Vexor's movement started getting slower, weaker. His brain wasn't getting enough blood. He fell to his knees, then to his hands. Minji rode him down like a rodeo rider. Finally, Vexor collapsed completely. Minji held on for 10 more seconds, counting in her head, making sure. Then she let go and rolled off his back. She tried to stand but fell. Her ribs were definitely broken. Maybe more than just ribs. She crawled to the bar and used it to pull herself up. Every breath felt like knives in her chest. The cantina was completely silent now. Minji looked around at the bodies. 6 Dracovians, all down. All dead or dying. The floor was covered in blood, most of it not hers. Her hands were shaking. The adrenaline was wearing off and the pain was getting worse. She spotted her water glass, somehow still intact, on her original table. She walked over slowly, each step hurting, and picked it up. The water was warm now, but she didn't care. She drank it all. Then she sat down at her table and waited. Station security arrived 10 minutes later. They were a mix of species, all wearing the same blue uniforms. They stopped at the doorway, staring at the scene. One of them, a bird-like alien, made a chirping sound of distress. The security captain was a large, crab-like creature named Bakthar. He had been working on Nexus Prime for 20 years and had seen many fights. But he had never seen anything like this. What happened here? He asked, his voice translator making his words sound mechanical. Minji looked up at him. Self-defense, she said simply. Self-defense? Bakthar clicked his claws together, a sign of disbelief. You're telling me one human did this to 6 Dracovian mercenaries in self-defense? Check the security footage, Minji said. She pointed at the cameras in the corners of the cantina. They touched me. I warned them not to. They did it anyway. Bakthar sent one of his officers to review the footage. While they waited, medical personnel arrived. They looked at the Dracovians first. The one with the crushed throat was dead. So was the young one with the blade through his neck. The one Minji had slammed into the bar was also dead. The other 2 were barely alive. Vexor was unconscious but breathing. The medics put him on a stretcher and carried him out. Then a medical officer approached Minji. She was a gentle-looking alien with too many eyes. You need treatment, she said softly. I'm fine, Minji said. You have broken ribs. Internal bleeding. You need to come to medical. Later. The officer who had gone to check the footage returned. He whispered something to Captain Bakthar. The captain's eye stalks drooped, a sign of resignation. The footage confirms your story, Bakthar said to Minji. They started it. You warned them twice. He paused. But this is still a problem. How is self-defense a problem? Minji asked. Because you're human, Bakthar said bluntly. Most species think humans are weak, soft. This, he gestured at the destroyed cantina, this changes things. This makes people nervous. Should I have let them kill me instead? Minji asked. Would that have been better? Bakthar sighed, a sound like air leaking from a tire. No, but you need to leave the station, soon. Those Dracovians work for the Obsidian Chain. When Vesh finds out what happened to his people, he'll want revenge. Who's Vesh? The crime lord who runs the Obsidian Chain, very powerful, very dangerous, and very concerned with his reputation. Bakthar leaned closer. Leave the station within 12 hours. That's my advice, Minji nodded slowly. She tried to stand and nearly fell again. The medical officer caught her. Medical bay first, the officer said firmly. Then you can leave. As they helped Minji toward the door, she looked back at the cantina one more time. At the broken tables. The scorch marks. The blood on the floor. She had tried so hard to leave this life behind. For 2 years, she had hauled cargo and kept her head down. She had avoided fights. She had warned people when they pushed too far, but some people never listened to warnings. Outside the cantina, in the station's corridors, aliens pressed against the walls to let them pass. They stared at Minji with wide eyes. Some looked afraid. Others looked curious. One of them was recording on a handheld device. Minji saw the little red light that meant the device was on. By the time they reached the medical bay, that recording was already spreading across the galactic network. Within hours, billions of beings would watch the footage of the cantina fight, and humanity's reputation in the galaxy would change forever. The medical bay was quiet and clean, the opposite of the bloody cantina. Minji lay on an examination table, while the medical officer worked on her ribs. The officer's name was Yara, and she had 6 delicate hands that moved with practiced efficiency. 3 broken ribs, Yara said softly. Internal bruising. Minor bleeding. You're lucky nothing punctured your lungs. She applied a regeneration patch to Minji's side. The patch felt warm against her skin. This will help, but you need rest. At least 3 days. I don't have 3 days, Minji said. Then you'll heal slower and hurt more. Yara's many eyes looked at her with something like concern. You should stay here. Let me monitor you properly. Before Minji could answer, the door opened. A man walked in, human, the first one Minji had seen on the station besides herself. He was tall with dark hair and tired eyes. He wore the clothes of a ship mechanic covered in grease stains. Minji? He asked. She looked at him. Do I know you? No, but every human on this station knows you now. He pulled out a small device and showed her the screen. This has been viewed 50 million times in the last 2 hours. The number keeps going up. On the screen, Minji watched herself fight the Dracovians. The footage was clear and steady. Whoever recorded it had kept filming the entire time. She watched herself break the first Dracovian's wrist, watched herself drop the one behind her, watched the whole brutal fight play out in silence. The title above the video read, Human gives 2 warnings. They laughed 20 minutes later. My name is Doyen, the man said. I fix ships here on the station. I'm part of a small network of humans who work in this sector. He put the device away. We need to talk. Yara finished applying the regeneration patch. You should rest, she told Minji again. Then she quietly left the room, giving them privacy. Doyen pulled up a chair and sat down. How much do you know about the Dracovians you fought? Nothing, Minji said. They were just random troublemakers. Not random. They work for the Obsidian Chain. It's a criminal organization that controls most of the illegal trade in this sector. Doyen leaned forward. The leader is a crime lord named Vesh. He's brutal and smart, and he doesn't forgive insults. I didn't insult him. I defended myself. You killed his people. On camera, in front of witnesses. To someone like Vesh, that's worse than an insult. That's a challenge to his power. Doyen ran his hand through his hair. He's going to come after you. Minji sat up slowly, wincing at the pain in her ribs. Then I'll leave. I was planning to anyway. It's not that simple anymore. Doyen showed her the device again. The view count had gone up another 10 million. You're famous now. And not just you, all of humanity. This video is changing how aliens see us. What do you mean? Before this, most aliens thought humans were weak. We're from a medium gravity world. We're not the strongest, not the fastest. We don't have claws or armor or poison. Doyen pointed at the screen. But this video shows them something they didn't know about us. It shows them we're dangerous. Minji watched the video again, watched herself move with efficiency and violence. She had learned those skills a long time ago in a different life. You were military, Doyen said. It wasn't a question. Former military, Minji corrected. I left that behind 2 years ago. What unit? Minji hesitated. Then she said, First contact response. Special operations, Doyen's eyes widened. You were FCR? I thought that was just a rumor. It's real. Or it was. I don't know if the unit still exists. Minji looked down at her hands. They were bruised and cut from the fight. We were created when humanity first joined the galactic community. Our job was to respond to threats against human colonies and ships. What happened? We responded to a distress call from a colony ship. It was attacked by slavers who thought humans would be easy prey. Minji's voice got quieter. My unit was dropped onto their ship. 30 of us against 200 of them. We were supposed to extract the hostages and withdraw. Did you? We extracted the hostages. All of them survived. Minji closed her eyes. None of the slavers did. And out of my unit, only I made it out. She opened her eyes again. After that, I resigned. I couldn't do it anymore. The room was quiet for a moment. Then Doyen said, Vesh has put a bounty on you. 1 million credits, but not dead alive. He wants to make an example of you. How do you know this? The human network I mentioned. We keep track of things that affect our people. Doyen stood up. There are 37 humans on this station. Most are like me, just trying to make a living. But if Vesh is angry at humans now, he might go after all of us. Minji felt a cold weight settle in her stomach. I brought this on you. I'm sorry. Don't be sorry. You defended yourself. You did nothing wrong. Doyen walked to the window and looked out at the station. But we need to be smart about what happens next. I'll leave, Minji said. I'll lead them away from the station. They won't just chase you. Vesh is smart. He'll use you to hurt all humans to prove we're not as dangerous as that video makes us look. Doyen turned back to face her. There's something else you should know. I've been getting messages from other humans across the galaxy. They've seen the video. Some of them are scared, but others, he paused, others are proud. They're saying it's about time the galaxy saw what humans can really do. Minji's device, lying on the table next to her, started buzzing. She picked it up and saw dozens of messages coming in. Messages from humans she had never met, scattered across dozens of star systems. One message read, "Thank you for showing them we're not weak." Another said, "You warned them first." That's what matters. A third message was longer. I've been working on an alien mining station for 5 years. They treat us like children, like pets. After your video, they're looking at me differently now. They're looking at all of us differently. Thank you. Minji put the device down. This wasn't supposed to happen. I just wanted to have a drink and go back to my ship. I know, Doyen said. But it did happen, and now we have to deal with it. The door opened again. This time it was Captain Bakhtar. His eye stalks swiveled to look at both humans. I told you to leave within 12 hours, he said to Minji. I'm going, she replied. No, you're not. Bakhtar clicked his claws together. Vesh has already sent people to watch your ship. If you try to leave, they'll grab you the moment you step outside this medical bay. So what am I supposed to do? That's your problem, not mine. My problem is that this station is about to become a war zone. Bakhtar's voice translator made his frustration sound mechanical and flat. Bounty hunters are already arriving. Every criminal in the sector wants that 1 million credits. They're going to tear this station apart looking for you. I'll turn myself in to Vesh, Minji said, if it stops people from getting hurt. No, Doyen said sharply. That's exactly what he wants. He'll torture you publicly to prove that humans aren't special. It won't save anyone. It'll just make things worse. Bakhtar's eye stalks drooped. I don't care what you do, human. Just keep the fighting out of the civilian sectors. He turned to leave, then stopped. One more thing. Vesh isn't just after you anymore. My sources say he's planning to round up all the humans on this station. He's going to sell them to slavers. Minji felt her blood turn cold. When? Soon, maybe tomorrow. Maybe sooner. Bakhtar left without another word. Doyen and Minji looked at each other. The weight of the situation settled over them like a heavy blanket. We need to warn the others, Doyen said. Warn them to do what? Leave? Vesh probably has people watching all of them too. Then we fight. Minji shook her head. They're not soldiers. They're mechanics and traders and engineers. They'll get killed. Then what do we do? Doyen asked. Just wait for Vesh to take us all. Minji stood up slowly. Her ribs screamed in protest, but she ignored the pain. She walked to the window and looked out at the station. Somewhere out there, Vesh was planning his next move. Somewhere out there, bounty hunters were gathering. And somewhere out there, 36 other humans were going about their lives, not knowing they were all in danger. She had tried to leave the violence behind. Tried to be normal. But violence had found her anyway. We don't wait, Minji finally said. We warn everyone. We prepare. And if Vesh wants a war with humanity, we'll give him one he won't forget. Doyen smiled grimly. That video made you famous. Let's see if it made you enough allies. Minji touched her side where the ribs were broken. The regeneration patch was already working, but it would be days before she was fully healed. They didn't have days. They had hours at most. Doyen worked fast. Within 2 hours, he had contacted every human on Nexus Prime Station. They met in secret, in the lower maintenance tunnels where the station's environmental systems hummed and hissed. The tunnels were hot and loud, but they were private. 37 humans gathered in the dim light. Most were young, in their 20s or 30s. They wore work clothes, mechanics' jumpsuits, traders' jackets. A few were older, with gray hair and tired eyes. None of them looked like soldiers except one. A woman named Yunji stood near the back. She was in her 40s, with short hair and scars on her hands. She caught Minji's eye and nodded once. Minji recognized the look. Former military, maybe not special forces, but definitely combat trained. Doyen stood on a raised platform, a catwalk that ran along the tunnel wall. "Thank you all for coming," he said loudly, speaking over the noise of the machinery. "You all know why we're here. Vesh has put a bounty on Minji, but it's worse than that. He's planning to round up all humans on this station and sell us to slavers." Worried voices filled the tunnel. People looked at each other with fear in their eyes. "When?" someone asked. "A young man named Jiho who worked in the station's hydroponics bay." "We don't know exactly," Doyen said. "Soon, maybe tomorrow. Then we run," another voice said. This was Sora, a woman who ran a small trading business. "We get to our ships and we leave. Vesh has people watching the docking bays," Minji said. She stepped forward so everyone could see her. Some of them stared at her with recognition from the video. "If we try to leave normally, they'll grab us one by one. So what do?" Jiho asked. "We can't fight them, look at us. We're not soldiers." "No, you're not," Minji agreed. "But you're human, and humans are good at more than just fighting." Yunji pushed through the crowd to stand next to Minji. "I know you," she said. "I saw your record when I was still in the service. First contact response, right?" "Yes, I was regular military. Ship security." Yunji looked at the gathered humans. "I'm not special forces like her, but I know how to fight. And I know that we have two choices. We can run and hope Vesh doesn't catch us all, or we can make him regret threatening us." "You're talking about fighting a crime lord," Sora said. "That's insane. There are 37 of us. He has hundreds of people working for him." "She's right," said an older man named Taman. He was a doctor who ran a small clinic in the civilian sector. "We should contact the station authorities. Let them handle this." "The authorities won't help," Doyen said bitterly. "Vesh pays them to look the other way. They'll tell us to leave the station, but they won't protect us." "Then we contact Earth," Jiho suggested. "Get the government to send help." "Earth is 3 weeks away," Minji said. "We don't have 3 weeks. We barely have a day." The tunnel fell silent except for the machinery noise. People looked down at their feet. Some were shaking. Minji understood. These were ordinary people. They fixed ships. They grew food. They treated the sick. They weren't trained for war, but neither were the colonists on that ship 5 years ago. The ones the slavers had captured. They had been ordinary people too. And they had survived because Minji's unit had come for them. Now there was no unit coming. There was only her. "I have a plan," Minji said, "but it's dangerous. And I won't force anyone to help. If you want to try to run, I understand. If you want to hide and hope Vesh forgets about you, I understand that too." "What's the plan?" Yunji asked. "We hit Vesh first. Before he can grab us, we go after him." The tunnel erupted in shocked voices. Several people started talking at once. "That's suicide," Sora said. "Maybe," Minji admitted. "But if we run, he'll hunt us down one by one. If we hide, he'll find us eventually. Our only chance is to make him stop being a threat." "How?" Taman asked. "He's in the industrial sector, surrounded by guards and weapons. We can't just walk in there." "No, we can't," Minji agreed. "But we don't need to win in a straight fight. We just need to be smart." She pulled out a datapad and projected a hologram of the station into the air. The 3-dimensional image showed all the sectors, all the corridors, all the systems. "The industrial sector is here," she pointed. "Vesh's headquarters is in the center, an old processing plant that he converted into a fortress. Heavy security. Multiple entry points, all guarded. So how do we get in?" Yunji asked. "We don't, not directly." Minji zoomed in on the station's systems. "Doyen, you're a mechanic. Can you access the environmental controls?" "Maybe," Doyen said slowly, studying the hologram. "Why?" "Can you shut down the power to the industrial sector?" "For a few minutes, yes. But they have backup generators. They'll kick in automatically." "A few minutes is all we need." Minji looked at Taman. "You're a doctor. Do you have access to sedatives?" Anything that could knock someone out? Yes, but I can't just hand out medical supplies for violence. Not for violence, Minji said. For defense. We're not trying to kill everyone. We're trying to get in, get to Vesh, and end this with minimal casualties. Taemin looked uncomfortable but slowly nodded. I have some things that could help. Jiho, you work in hydroponics. You understand the station's air circulation system? Sure, but what does that have to do with anything? Can you introduce something into the air? Something harmless but disorienting? Maybe something that affects smell or causes mild irritation? Jiho thought for a moment. I could make a compound from some of the plants we grow. It wouldn't hurt anyone, but it would make their eyes water and their noses run, make it hard to see and breathe properly for a while. Perfect. Minji pointed to different areas of the hologram. We'll split into teams. Each team has a job. Some of you will create diversions. Some will handle technical support. Some will deal with security systems. And some will fight, Yunji added. She looked around at the gathered humans.
Who here has any combat training?
Any at all? 4 people raised their hands. Not many, but more than 0. What about weapons? Sora asked. We can't fight armed guards with nothing. The station has a security armory, Doyun said. But it's locked down tight. I can get us in, a quiet voice said. Everyone turned to look. A young woman named Hana stepped forward. She was small even for a human, and she looked nervous. I work in station administration. I have access codes. They'll know it was you, Sora said. I know. Hana's voice was shaking, but she stood firm. But I saw that video. I saw what Minji did. She warned them first. She gave them a chance. They didn't listen. She looked at Minji. If we warn Vesh and he doesn't listen, then we have the right to defend ourselves. That's what humans do. We warn first, always. Minji felt something tight in her chest loosen. These people weren't soldiers. But they understood something important. They understood that humanity's strength wasn't just violence. It was the choice to warn before acting, the choice to give people a chance to back down. We'll send Vesh a message, Minji said. We'll warn him. We'll tell him to leave the humans on this station alone. We'll give him a chance to back down. He won't, Yunji said. Probably not. But we'll give him the chance anyway. Minji looked at all the gathered humans. This is dangerous. People might get hurt, might die. If anyone wants to leave now, I understand. No judgment, nobody moved. All right then, Minji said. Let's prepare. We have until tomorrow morning. Doyun, get me access to a communication terminal. I need to send a message to Vesh. What will you tell him? Sora asked. Minji's expression hardened. The same thing I told those Dracovians. Don't touch us again. The humans spread out through the tunnels, each group moving to handle their assigned tasks. Yunji stayed behind with Minji and Doyun. You know this might not work, Yunji said. I know. We might all die. I know that too. But you're doing it anyway. Yes. Minji touched her ribs. They still hurt, but the pain was getting better. Because if we don't stand up now, we'll spend the rest of our lives running. And I'm tired of running, Yunji smiled. It was a hard smile, the kind soldiers got before a battle. Then let's make sure the galaxy remembers this. Let's show them what happens when you push humans too far. Doyun led them to a communication terminal in a maintenance closet. Minji sat down and recorded her message. She kept it simple. Vesh, my name is Minji. Your people attacked me. I defended myself. I'm sorry for the deaths, but I warned them first. Now I'm warning you. Leave the humans on this station alone. We want no more trouble. But if you come after us, if you try to take us, you'll regret it. This is your only warning. Don't touch us again. She sent the message and sat back. Think he'll listen? Doyun asked. No, Minji said. But now when we fight him, everyone will know we tried to avoid it. We gave him a choice. They waited in the closet for the response. It came 30 minutes later. Not a message. Not words. Alarms started blaring throughout the station. Emergency lights flashed red. Doyun checked his datapad. His face went pale. Vesh just sent 50 armed mercenaries into the civilian sector. They're grabbing every human they can find. Minji stood up. Her ribs screamed, but she ignored them. How long until our people are ready? Most of them aren't. We needed more time. We don't have more time. Minji's eyes went cold and hard. The same look they had in the cantina. Get everyone to the rally point. Tell them it's happening now. What about the plan? The plan doesn't matter anymore, Minji said. Vesh made his choice. Now we make ours. The civilian sector was chaos. People ran through the corridors screaming. Vesh's mercenaries, a mix of different alien species, moved through the crowds like predators. They grabbed humans whenever they spotted them, dragging them toward the docking bays. Minji saw Jiho being pulled by two large aliens. He struggled, but they were too strong. She ran forward, ignoring the pain in her ribs, and kicked one of the aliens in the knee. The joint bent backward with a crack. As he fell, she punched the other one in the throat. Both aliens dropped Jiho and collapsed. "Go," Minji told Jiho. "Get to the maintenance tunnels." Rally point 3, now Jiho ran. Minji moved deeper into the chaos, looking for more humans. She found Sora cornered by 3 mercenaries. Minji picked up a piece of broken pipe from the floor and swung it hard. The first mercenary went down with a dented skull. The second one turned toward her and she jammed the pipe into his stomach. The third tried to run, but Sora, angry now, tripped him. Minji finished him with a kick to the head. "You okay?" Minji asked. "No," Sora said, breathing hard. "But I'm alive." "What do we do?" "Fight back. Gather everyone you can find. Get to rally point 3. More alarms blared. Station security was finally responding, but they moved slowly, clearly ordered not to interfere too much. Minji realized Bokthar had been right. The station authorities wouldn't help. Humans were on their own. Doyen's voice came through Minji's comm device. "Minji, we have a problem. They grabbed Hana. She was trying to get to the armory, but they caught her." "Where are they taking her?" "To Vesh's headquarters, along with 15 other humans they've already captured." Minji felt cold rage settle over her. "How many of our people made it to the rally points?" 18. "The rest are scattered or captured. Tell them to arm up. We're going after the others, and we're not ready. We don't have a plan." "The plan is simple," Minji said. "We go in, we get our people, and we make Vesh regret ever touching us." She ran through the corridors, heading for rally point 3. On the way, she saw more fighting. Some humans had found weapons and were defending themselves. A mechanic named Wu Jin swung a heavy wrench at a mercenary. A traitor named Bora threw acid from a battery pack into an alien's face. Humans were fighting back. Rally point 3 was a storage area near the industrial sector. When Minji arrived, she found 18 humans waiting. Yoonji had gotten them organized. Some held makeshift weapons. A few had actual security weapons that Hana must have given them access codes for before being captured. They took Hana and 15 others. Minji announced, "We're going to get them back." "How?" Taemin asked. He was there too, holding a medical kit and looking terrified. "The industrial sector is a maze of old processing plants and warehouses. Vesh's headquarters is in the center, but there are service tunnels that run underneath." Minji pulled up the hologram again. "Doyen, can you still shut down the power?" "Yes, I can access the controls from here." "Do it." "Give us 5 minutes of darkness." "That's our window." "What about the backup generators?" "I'm counting on them. When they kick in, they'll draw power from the main reactor. That creates a surge. A small one, but enough to disrupt their security systems for a few seconds." Yoonji nodded, understanding. "We go in during those few seconds." "Exactly." "Jiho, did you make that compound?" Jiho held up a container. "It's not much, but if we introduce it into their ventilation, it'll make them miserable." "Good enough." Minji looked at Taemin. "You stay here with the non-combatants. Set up a medical station. We'll bring the others back here." "I want to help," Taemin said. "You will help. By saving the injured." Minji's voice softened. "We need you alive, Doctor. Don't take risks." She turned to the group. "Everyone else, listen carefully. We're not soldiers. We're not trained for this, but we're human. And humans have something most species don't understand." "What's that?" Wu Jin asked. "We adapt. We improvise. We do whatever it takes to protect our own." Minji checked her weapon, a plasma pistol from the armory. "Stay together. Watch each other's backs. If you can avoid killing someone, do it. But if it's them or us, choose us always." The humans nodded. Minji saw fear in their eyes, but also determination. They were scared, but they were ready. "Move out," she ordered. They moved through the service tunnels in silence. The tunnels were narrow and dark, lit only by emergency lights. Moisture dripped from the pipes above. The sound of machinery echoed around them. When they reached the point beneath Vesh's headquarters, Minji signaled for a stop. Above them they could hear footsteps and voices. "Guards." "Doyen now," Minji whispered into her comm. The lights went out. Complete darkness filled the tunnels. Then, exactly as Minji predicted, the backup generators kicked in. The lights came back on with a flicker. In that moment of fluctuation, the security systems reset. Minji and Yunji moved first. They climbed up through a maintenance shaft and emerged into a warehouse. 2 guards stood nearby, confused by the power surge. Minji took down one with a silent strike to the back of the neck. Yunji handled the other. The rest of the humans climbed up. Jiho found the ventilation system and introduced his compound. Within seconds, guards throughout the building started coughing and rubbing their eyes. "Split up," Minji said. "Find the prisoners. Get them out. Meet back at the rally point." The humans scattered. Minji and Yunji headed deeper into the building, toward where Vesh would be. They moved through corridors filled with confused, coughing guards. The compound was working better than expected. They found the prisoners in a large holding area. Hana and the other 15 humans were locked in a cage, surrounded by guards. Minji counted 8 guards, all armed. "We can't take 8, Yunji whispered. "We don't have to take all of them." Minji pointed to the power junction on the wall. "Shoot that. When the lights go out, I'll handle the guards. You get the prisoners out, alone, you'll get killed. Trust me." Yunji hesitated, then nodded. She aimed carefully and shot the power junction. Sparks flew and the lights died. In the darkness, Minji moved. She had trained for this, fighting in complete darkness using sound and touch to locate enemies. The guards shouted and fired their weapons randomly. None of the shots came close to her. She took them down one by one. A strike to the kidney, a chop to the throat, a knee to the groin. She moved like a ghost, silent and deadly. When the emergency lights came on, all 8 guards were on the floor. The prisoners stared at her through the bars. Yunji shot the lock on the cage. The prisoners rushed out. Hana ran to Minji. "You came for us," she said, tears in her eyes. "Of course we did. Now let's go." They were heading back when alarms blared again. This time it wasn't the power. Vesh knew they were there. "Move faster," Minji ordered. They ran through the corridors. Behind them they heard heavy footsteps. Lots of them. Vesh had sent his entire security force after them. They reached the warehouse where they had entered. Other humans were already there, having freed more prisoners. But mercenaries were closing in from all sides. "We're trapped," Wu Jin said. Minji looked around. They were surrounded. At least 50 mercenaries blocked every exit. And then the crowd parted and Vesh himself walked through. He was massive, even for his species. He looked like a cross between a bear and a lizard, covered in thick armor plating. His eyes were cold and intelligent. "The little human who started all this," Vesh said. His voice was deep and rumbling. "You killed my people. You invaded my headquarters. You freed my prisoners." He smiled, showing sharp teeth. "I'm going to enjoy making an example of you." "We warned you," Minji said calmly. "We told you to leave us alone. Warnings from prey mean nothing." Vesh gestured to his mercenaries. "Take them. All of them. And make sure the cameras are recording. I want the whole galaxy to see what happens to humans who challenge me." The mercenaries moved forward. The humans raised their weapons, but they were outnumbered and outgunned. Then Doyen's voice came through everyone's comm at once. "Minji, I hope your plan B is better than plan A." "What plan B?" Yunji asked. Minji smiled. "I sent a message before we came here. Not to Vesh, to someone else." The wall behind Vesh exploded. Debris flew everywhere. Through the smoke and dust, figures emerged. Humans. Lots of them. They wore combat armor and carried military-grade weapons. "First contact response," Yunji whispered in awe. The lead soldier removed her helmet. She was older than Minji, with gray hair and scars covering half her face. "Sorry we're late," she said. "Traffic was terrible." Minji laughed despite everything. "Commander, I thought you retired." "I did. Then I saw your video. Figured you might need backup." The commander looked at Vesh. "New rule, crime lord. Humans don't warn 3 times. She warned you twice. This is what happens when you don't listen." The FCR unit opened fire. The battle was short and brutal. Vesh's mercenaries were tough, but they weren't trained soldiers. They weren't ready for humanity's elite fighting force. Vesh himself tried to run, but Minji caught him. They fought in the middle of the chaos. He was bigger and stronger, but she was faster and smarter. She used every trick she had learned, every weakness in his species' biology. Finally, she got him on the ground, her knee on his throat. "You had 2 warnings," she said quietly. "You should have listened." Vesh tried to speak, but couldn't. His eyes showed fear for the first time. Station security finally arrived, led by Captain Bakhtar. He looked at the